Unit 3, Lesson 4, Ocean Water. Have you ever been swimming in the ocean? If you have, you've noticed, I'm sure, that the ocean is salty. If you've ever had water drip in your eye or in your mouth, you can feel that saltiness or taste the saltiness. Here you will see the learning targets for this lesson. We have 4 targets that we would like to be able to hit, or goals that you would want to know or learn by the end of this lesson. 1. Describe the composition of ocean water. 2. Recognize that the temperature of the ocean's surface water varies by geographic location. 3. Identify factors that affect the salinity of ocean water. And 4. Explain how temperature and pressure vary at different depths in the ocean. Here on the screen, you will see the activity resources that you will find in your lesson, in your course. So as you go to the course and you go to the lesson for the day, you can click on the activity resources and find these keywords. These keywords are your vocabulary words, and they are defined here for you so you can write them in your notebook. Make sure that you know these and study these throughout the unit. Also, if you click here on this button, it will pronounce the word for you so that you know how to say some of these bigger words that you may not know yet. But as you can see, we have 5 new words that I would like you to focus on for this lesson. What is the composition of ocean water? The composition meaning what is the makeup or what is the mix of that's inside this ocean water. So I want you to take a minute and pause your video and think about this question and go ahead and jot in your science notebook what you think. So when scientists talk about the composition of the ocean, they're usually referring to the ocean's temperature, salinity, and density. Each of these factors vary as you move from place to place across the ocean. These factors also vary as you move deeper and deeper towards the ocean floor. Ocean salinity, as we said, does change from place to place. So if you look at the chart on the right, this is the elements that you would find in ocean water. Starting with the most dense elements at the top and then moving down to the least. So we see chlorine and sodium are the top 2 elements that you would find in ocean water, which these combine to make sodium chloride, or what is commonly known as table salt. So the same salt that you use on your food. The concentration of dissolved salt in a liquid is called its salinity. So for example, a solution of 1 cup of water that contains 3 teaspoons of salt has a higher salinity than a solution of 1 cup of water with only 1 teaspoon of salt. It would have a less salinity. But salt or chlorine, sodium is not the only elements found in ocean water. You also see these: magnesium, sulfur, calcium, and potassium. So ocean water has a salinity of about 34.5 grams. If you look at the picture here, you can see where they're actually extracting the salt from the sea. This evaporation will happen, and when the water evaporates, it leaves the salt behind. salinity varies with evaporation. So if you look at the diagram on the screen, we see the arrows are representing where evaporation is occurring. So if you look here at the top is where we see the arrows. So heat transfer is transferred into the water, and we know that water vapor is now rising. The salt molecules are represented as the purple circles, and then these other red with the little green is H2O, or water molecules. So as you can see, it is evaporating, and the salt stays down in the water. So would the salinity in ocean water be greater or less around the equator? So go ahead and pause your video and answer this question in your science notebook. Ocean salinity would be greater around the equator. We know that around the equator there are warmer temperatures and more heat. So the more heat we have, the more evaporation, the more water vapor we see. So there's going to be a lot of evaporation happening around these areas. This is going to cause the salinity to be greater because all of the salt stays in that ocean water as the fresh water is being evaporated into the air. Salinity also can vary with freezing. So anywhere that you would see a glacier or ice on the top of the ocean, you're going to see some variations. During the colder months, most of the fresh water at the poles will freeze and be stored as ice. This will increase the salinity of the water that remains unfrozen. So why do you think the water under the ice would have a greater salinity? So go ahead and pause your video and answer this question in your science notebook. Good. So there is a greater salinity because, as you can see in the diagram, the purple salt molecules all are staying in the water, ocean water below. The ice only is fresh water at the top. So we know as it freezes, it leaves the saltiness below. Here you see an ocean salinity map. On the top right-hand corner, you're going to see the key to the map key. This little aqua or turquoise color at the bottom shows the highest salinity. So if you look at your map, where would you see the highest salinity? Good. You will see that here near the equator, north and south of the equator, dead center. Why do you think those areas have the highest salinity? Good. Remember, the equator is very warm temperatures, around the equator. So as the water vapor is the water is evaporating and becoming water vapor, then it's leaving more of that saltiness down in the water. Here we see a graph of the thermocline. Thermocline is a zone of rapid temperature change between the warm surface and the cooler deep water of the ocean. So if you've ever swam in a pool or in a lake and you have swam towards the bottom, I'm sure that you have felt a temperature change. It gets colder at a certain point. That's because you have passed the thermocline. So in the picture or in the graph, you can see how the temperature at a here at the top, where it's not as deep or the water is shallow, at 500 meters, the water is warm. But once you go below that 500 meters, you can see that the temperature is dropping drastically. All right, please complete Unit 3, Lesson 4 today, and check your email and your gradebook. Leave you today, I have a Did You Know? Did you know the oceans get its saltiness from the tears of misunderstood sharks who just want to cuddle? You guys have a great day.